Looks like we're almost at full capacity for this morning. You'll notice that I've sent out a poll to you that has it has a question with three potential answers. And the question is, do you think that video games are good for your health? And you'll notice that the three answers are hard yes, hard no, and then there is a third option that's kind of in the gray area in between that says too much time spent playing video games can be bad for your health. Karen, you still don't see it. Hold on. Let me take a look. It should pop up for everybody. Yeah, it says that it's been assigned to all 21 of you guys. Look around your different tabs, because once I end the poll, it'll make me have to recreate it. So Karen, if you want to, Valeria says, it popped up for me, but it said you started screen sharing and then it went away before I got to answer. It shouldn't require me to screen share for you guys though, but if you can't access the poll, just go ahead and put your answer. Okay, Karen found it. Valeria found it. There we go. Okay. If you're struggling to find it, go ahead and put your answer in the chat log. That'll be just fine as well. And we'll go ahead and end the poll here in about another 30 seconds after everybody's had a chance to weigh in. I do only see 17 of the 21 people in the class have, there we go, there's 18, so we're still waiting on, there we go, 19, and I need 2 more people. Okay, and we still got people trying to add as well, so we'll hope that they jump in. And I'm kind of interested in these results. The way that it's shaken out right now is kind of interesting. Okay, we're waiting on 2 folks to finish voting. So again, the question that I'm pitching to you is this. There we go, and now we're waiting on 1 person. Do you think video games are good for your mental health? Yes, no, or too much time spent playing video games can be bad for your health? Okay. Looks like we're about done. Yeah, well, we have 2 people jumping in a few minutes late, so we'll give them a second to vote, but we're going to only give them a second. So once again, those of you who just joined us, the question that we're starting this class off with is, do you think video games are good for your mental health? Yes, no, or too much time spent playing video games can be bad for your health. And we're at 21 out of 23 people. There's 22 people, and we're waiting on 1 more, and we're going to close it up. So if you just joined us, get that vote in, and we will close this up in about 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a look at our polling results. All right, let me share my screen with you guys. Now, our polling results indicate that 64% of you guys thought that video games are just good for your health. Okay, interesting. I would venture to guess that within that 64%, many of you are gamers, are consistent gamers. Yes, those of you who answered hard yes, I would assume play a fair amount of video games. Okay, so there might be a little bit of confirmation bias there. Only 5%, meaning 1 person in class, said that video games are inherently bad for your health. And that person, I don't know who it was, but you are entitled to your opinion. I know that my parents would be inclined to agree with you. Okay, and the third category, and I was actually kind of interested to see how many of you, 7 of you, answered that too much time spent playing video games can be bad for your health. And so I like that there is a kind of a moderate group, a third group of you guys that says, you know, essentially some of it is good for you, so too much might be bad, right? You can have too much of anything. So with that being said, now that we all kind of know where we stand, let's consider what the science says. Let's go ahead and consider what recent science says. So what I'd like for you to do is open up your copy of the article that I provided for you here. The title of the article is Studies Suggest Video Games Can Help Mental Health. And I want you guys to open that up. I'm going to go ahead. Valeria, you just outed yourself. Valeria said she was the one who said it's bad for people. Good for you. I love that you took the contrarian position. Good for you. I'm going to go ahead and throw Go Guardian up to make sure that everybody is doing what they ought to be doing and that nobody is screwing around and using their Chromebooks inappropriately this period because this 10 o'clock period is usually where I start to see a pretty sheer drop-off in student engagement. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it nice and easy to ensure that everybody is on the same page and doing what they ought to be doing. So far I see that Francisco and Shara, Krishmadeep, Camilla, Julian, Rosalie, Natalie, Gabriella, Alexander. Yep, Alexander is there. Genesis is there. Kevin is good to go. Isaac and Jeremiah and Desire. Camilla and Karen and Destiny and Brando are all doing what they should be doing. Thank you. Jesse is with us now. Valeria is with us now. Thank you so much. We are waiting for Maria, and we are waiting on one or two more. Oh, look who decided to show. Cool. All right, so it looks like almost everybody is there. Those of us that are logged in today are where we ought to be. So let's go ahead and get started here. A few things you're going to notice. I want everyone to go ahead and scroll all the way down to page 6. What do you notice is on page 6? Somebody point it out for me, please. In the document I've provided, what do you find on page 6? Can you say that a little bit more loudly, please? Yes, you will find your Unravel annotations page, okay? Very good. So, if you had to make an inference here, let's go ahead and do one together. Do I want you just jumping in and reading the passage just yet, or are there some steps that we have to go through before we jump in and read through the text?
Read the question first.
Well, that's one of the tasks. What would be the first thing we need to do? If we're going to take a look at an informational text such as like a news article or a scientific article, Kevin, what would be the first step that we want to do? What is our close reading strategy that we call Unravel? What does it ask us to do first? What would be number one? Who wants to jump in on that?
The title.
Yeah. Say it again one more time. I stepped on you.
Rewrite the title.
Yeah, not just rewrite it, but we want to underline it too, right? So let's go ahead and do that. We need to underline and rewrite the title in our annotations page. And Kevin, why do we do that? Why do we rewrite the title as well as underlining it? What does that help us to do? If anybody wants to jump in for Kevin, you're more than welcome to. Why do we rewrite the title? What is the purpose of doing this? Let's check the chat log. Looks like you guys are blowing it up. And remember that we write this in a complete sentence, right? So give me an example. How would I write this for the you in Unravel? How do I write this as a complete and affirmative statement? Let's see here. Good. Valeria says, we write the title to help us remember what the story is kind of going to be about. It helps us to remember, says Desire. And remember, though, guys, we're not talking about a story here. There's a difference between a story, which would be literary works, right? That would be a work of literature, and informational text. Remember, we kind of have to separate the two, that there is a difference. There is a lot of overlap, and there is a lot of crossover territory. But when we're talking about scholarly articles such as these, we're talking about informational text. There is a difference. So, the title of the article is, and we need to make sure that we punctuate this correctly, that we put the quotation marks. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know. I can't find the Unravel stuff.
Everybody has access to Unravel. It's on page 6, Kevin. You need to scroll all the way down.
Oh, I see.
There we go. Yep. And if you're confused later, Kevin, when you're working on this, I put the actual pages in the Zoom assignment, or in the Google Classroom. So if you look where it says open the article, letter A tells you that the actual text is on pages 1 through 4. Questions, so the 5 questions you're going to answer are on page 5, and then the Unravel page is on page 6. So later on, if you get confused or forget, you can always refer back to the Google Classroom instructions as well, okay? All right, so we've got the first part of our annotation down, that the title of the article is Studies Suggest Video Games Can Help Mental Health. Okay, well then what's the second step in our close reading strategy? Let's go ahead and annotate that as well. What is step number 2, Jesse? What does the N in Unravel stand for?
The N? Make a prediction or reference about. Hold on.
Nice and loud, please, so everybody can hear you. Page 6, buddy, all the way down.
Okay. Now make a prediction or an inference about the passage based on the title, images,
etc. Yep, exactly. So the N in Unravel, meaning the second thing we need to do, is to make a prediction or an inference about the passage, and we base that prediction or that inference based on the title, we base it on the image, We base it on any graphics. Maybe there are graphs or charts that are included here. So take a look here. I want you to go ahead and read the title of the passage to yourself again. And then I want you to take 1 minute to write a specific inference or prediction about the article next to number 2. And we're going to share our predictions in just a minute. So take 1 minute. It is 10:12 as of right now. I'm going to give you till 10:13 to write a specific prediction. And remember that you have to use a sentence frame, right? We have to say, I can predict or infer. You can say either one. Remember that a prediction is a special kind of inference wherein you are kind of predicting the future, right? You are kind of looking to the future and making assumptions about what may happen. Okay, good. Thank you, Valeria. Good. Okay, about 30 more seconds. I want you to write your prediction or your inference, and I want you to use the sentence starter, I can predict or I can infer. Either one will be acceptable to me. I will take either. Okay, about 10 more seconds. If you would like to include it in the chat log, you may do so. If you would like to share it out loud, all you must do is raise your hand so that I can get to you without letting everybody step on each other. I'm going to go ahead and start with Natalie's, and then I'll move to Karen's, both of which are in the chat. Natalie says, I can infer that the passage will be about how a study says video games can help your mental health. Okay, let's be a little bit more specific. I can predict the article will be about how video games can help with your mental health. Okay, good. Yeah, I think you guys are probably both right. I can predict or infer the article will be mostly about the helpful properties video games have on mental health, right? And this is what I mean when we want to make a specific or a pointed prediction or inference. We need to kind of essentially make an inference about the main or central idea of the passage, right? When we say I make a prediction or an inference, we're not going to talk about kind of the auxiliary details or just the supporting details because we haven't gotten there yet. What we want to do is make a prediction or an inference about what the article will mostly be about. And I was reading your guys' annotations pages from yesterday for your Saharan trade routes article that you read for third period. And I would say most of you were able to do this with varying degrees of success. You guys did actually a really good job, those of you that actually did the assignment. Valeria says, I can infer that the text is going to be about scientists stating that video games can unexpectedly help your mental health. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, Valeria, and I'll tell you why. I like that you use the word unexpectedly. I can infer that the text will involve scientists who have found that video games can unexpectedly help mental health. Very good. Valeria, can I ask you a question? Why would you use a word like unexpectedly? What about this might be unexpected?
Because many people think that video games are bad for you, bad for people being easy.
Yeah, right? I mean, I grew up in the 90s, and I grew up when, like, the first Mortal Kombat came out, and, like, the first Grand Theft Auto came out, and, like, Duke Nukem and Doom, and all of these kind of first-generation, first-person shooting games. And I can tell you this, that Fox News, I also grew up when Fox News was a brand new thing, and Fox News was fairly convinced that video games not only rotted your brain, but they were almost entirely responsible for kids committing acts of violence, such as school shootings like we saw in Columbine, again, another 90s kind of phenomenon. And so you're right, Valeria, that parents, grandparents, kind of the older generation, they're kind of inclined to believe that video games, not only are they not good for you, but they might be directly and inherently bad for you, right? So I like that you're using that word unexpectedly. That's going to help to make a very specific prediction about this article and what it's going to mainly concern itself with. Good. Okay, now, question number 3. We are down to R in our Unravel closed reading strategy. Shayra, what does the R in Unravel stand for, please?
You need to read the paragraph, run through the paragraphs to see if you could find an expected vocabulary or whatever.
We're not quite to the vocabulary part. What's the R stand for? You're right. It does stand for run through and do something specific. Number the paragraphs. That's right. Why do we want to number the paragraphs, Shayra?
To know how much you're reading.
Okay, so to kind of budget for time, right? To see how long this is going to take. Why else would we want to run through and number the paragraphs? What specific action do I ask you to do all the time with text evidence?
Summarize the text.
But the between
Say that, yes, Alex is right? I ask you to not only cite text evidence when you're making summaries, but to point out where you got it, right? And so if you go through and number the paragraphs, this act is going to be much easier because you're going to be able to remember, oh, I found this in paragraph 4, right? That way you're not having to read the article 6 or 7 times to go back and find what it is that you're looking for. So let's go ahead. I've still got my screen shared with you, so I'm going to go ahead and go through. Let's count. You can find the paragraphs by scrolling all the way back up to page number 1. I'm going to go ahead and see, I see one paragraph. I see a second paragraph here. I see a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my annotations page. I'm going to put that in a complete sentence. Remember, you're going to write that out as a complete sentence. There are 13 paragraphs in the passage. And once again, this does 2 things for us. This allows us to kind of go, okay, 13 paragraphs, they're averaging about 2 or 3 sentences per paragraph. That means, let's just say conservatively, 2 sentences, 2 long sentences per paragraph times 13. I mean, really, we're looking at what? 30 sentences at most. So this is not going to take us forever, even though it might look lengthy. And then you also kind of want to keep an idea of which paragraphs contain which kind of central ideas and what kind of supporting details exactly. All right, now Shayra, I'm going to come back to you because you said this earlier. What is the A, the first A in Unravel stand for? Are we looking for any what?
What questions we have to answer?
Are we looking at the questions? Good. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Shayra, can you read me question number 1? I'm going to go ahead and highlight question number 1 just so that you guys can all see where it is. What is question number 1? Go ahead.
It says write a paragraph that explains the central idea of the text. Use at least 2 details from that article to support your answer.
Good. Okay, so we're going to go down to where we are we reading the questions? And the answer there is, so for the first question, is we need to write a paragraph about central idea with 2 details from the text. Good. Okay, so that's going to be the first question. And you know what we'll do is put that over like that. So if you hit enter and then tab, it'll give you, it'll allow you to kind of drop down with an A so that we can go through these sentences or these questions like this, okay? Let's look at question number 2. Question number 2. Kevin, can you read me question number 2, please?
Okay. Read the article introduction.
Introduction, yep.
Introduction, paragraphs 1 through 2. Which sentence from the introduction suggests that scientists and video game companies rarely work together on research?
Okay, very good. So what does that word rarely mean? And we're gonna come back to that one. Rarely is something specific. I'm gonna underline that one. And so we're gonna make sure that we put that on our vocab section of our annotations page, because if we don't know what the word rarely means, we might be confused as to what kind of evidence we're searching for here. So so which sentence in the introduction suggests that scientists rarely work together? So that'll be, if I had to kind of put that in our annotations page, that is a multiple choice question, right? So we're gonna need to use multiple choice. And let's see here. Let's look at question number 3. Read the following conclusion. The findings of recent Oxford University studies are suggestive, not conclusive. We're going to underline that word conclusive as well, because that one's going to come back to haunt us if we don't at least find some kind of connotative meaning behind it. The findings of the recent Oxford University study are suggestive, not conclusive. Which sentence from the article best supports the statement above? So which of these sentences best supports the idea that the studies are not conclusive? So once again, that is a multiple choice question. So that means that if we can eliminate two answers that are obviously incorrect, then we have at least a 50-50 shot of answering those. So once again, multiple choice. So that was question number 3. And I'm just going to highlight each of the questions. That way we know where the questions begin and where the answers or the options begin. The 4th question, Valeria, can you read me question number 4, please?
Read the following selection from the section Scientists Debate the Findings. He said that this is correlational data, that this means that the two kinds of data in the research, emotional well-being and video game playtime, are related in a specific way, but that does not necessarily mean playing games causes emotional well-being. Why didn't the author include this idea?
Good. So once again, we're going to underline that word correlational, and they give us a definition here in the problem. Correlational means that two things are related in a specific way. So we can look at it this way, and we'll get into this deeper in a second. There is a correlation between the amount of time you spend on your phone and your grades. Why might there be a relationship between spending a lot of time on your phone and bad grades? What do you guys think?
They're both bad for you.
Bad grades and bad phone, or and too much phone time? Maybe. I guess what I'm saying is, what do we notice about the relationship between someone who is constantly on his phone and not doing his work and bad grades? How are those two things related? Karen says you focus too much on your phone and not on your studies. Valeria says spending time on your phone is causing bad grades. Yes, exactly. So that word correlational means that there is a causal or a causational relationship between two things. Just like eating too much sugar, there is a correlation between sugar and cavities, right? There is a correlation between too much sugar and diabetes, right? Correlational just means that there is a noticeable relationship between two things, and we'll get into that in just a second. So very good. So this is also a multiple choice question. So far, you know that at the very least, you're going to be writing a single paragraph and you're going to be answering multiple choice questions. And finally, question number 5, what is the most likely reason that the author included information about COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, once again, another multiple choice question. So this part, our first A is done. That's easy. Are we reading the questions? Yeah. I have to write a paragraph and I have some multiple choice questions to answer. Nothing too crazy. It's not asking for a full-on essay. It's not asking for you to write a personal account or to write an argumentative essay. It is a simple task of writing a quick paragraph with 2 details from the text and solving some multiple choice questions. Good. Question number 5 then on our list, the second A in Unravel. What is the second A in Unravel? What does it stand for, Jeremiah? The second A in Unravel.
Vocabularies.
It does deal with vocabulary, exactly. Are we identifying strange or unfamiliar vocabulary words? Well, I found 3 just in the questions alone, and so I'm going to add those to this list. What I want you guys to do while I add those to the list so that we can start to talk about them, while I'm doing that, I want you to scroll up and I want you to scan each of the paragraphs and look for any words that you don't understand. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put correlational. The other word that we found was conclusive, and then the other one that we found was rarely. Okay, so correlational, conclusive, and rarely. And so I want you guys now to take about a minute to scan the paragraphs and find any words that you are looking at that immediately set off alarm bells in your head. If there's something you don't understand, Either throw it in the chat log so that I can add it to our annotations page, or go ahead and add it to your own annotations page and you can share it with us out loud. It's 10:27. I'm going to give you until 10:29 to get that done. Go ahead. Okay, I like that Jesse is doing what I asked. I like that Shayra is doing what I asked, and Valeria. Julian is doing the same, it looks like. It looks like Krishma is kind of looking at her Unravel page, but not necessarily going up and scanning the paragraphs like I asked. Alexis is scanning the paragraphs. Good. Gabriella. Alexander. Good. Genesis. Well done. Kevin is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Mr. Meza is doing what he is supposed to be doing. Very good. Okay, like I said, anything, it's 10:28. I'll give you about another minute. Anything that is jumping out at you that you don't recognize, that might throw you for a loop. I see one right here. Transparency. I'm going to go ahead and add that. Transparency. See if I can find any others in the last 30 seconds before we... And names, so like this guy, Andrew Przybylewski, we don't need to go ahead and put that in there. That's just a guy's name. It's a Polish last name, Przybylewski. I found one. Oh, right, when I found it too. Good, Brando. So Karen got a few here. So Karen is going to add this to our list, and I'll do the same. And then we will go ahead and move on. Karen said that she wants to know what the words collaboration, influence, and frequently, I think. Is that what the other one? Let me see. I got to pull it up again. Significant. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. We have a good start here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vocab words. Very good. Okay, so let's take a look here. Correlational. We already read the definition for that, and we know that correlational simply means that it is demonstrative of or showing a relationship between two things. And the example that we gave was sugar and cavities, right? There is a correlation between the amount of sugar you eat and the amount of cavities that you will develop in your teeth, right? Valeria said lingering. Okay, yeah, let's add lingering. That's a good one. Lingering. Good. Okay. Conclusive. Well, we know by now that when using Google, we can simply highlight a word and we can right-click it and go to define. So conclusive means serving to prove a case, decisive or convincing, okay? It can also mean, and I'm going to go ahead and give you in my own words, we could say conclusive means final and let's just say final and decisive. And all that means is that so if we have conclusive results, so for instance, let's say that I went in to go get blood work and I was being tested for diabetes, okay? And my doctor came back with my blood work and said, Mr. Stockman, we've determined conclusively that you do have diabetes. What they are saying is that, yes, this is our final answer and we are decisive. You do have diabetes, right? Conclusive means final, decisive, and we can say, and affirmative, meaning sure, right? Okay, very good. So go ahead and get those into your definitions. Let's do the same for transparency. Let's go ahead and, Jesse, can you read me the definition for transparency?
The condition of being transparent, of ice.
Okay, so that's the example they give, right? The transparency of ice, meaning we can say this: able to be seen through or clear, right? So if something is transparent, we can see through it. So think of you guys are too young to remember transparency projectors. I'm old. When we were kids, we didn't have document cameras.
I know those are.
You've seen them? They're like the clear sheets of paper where your teacher writes on the projector and it puts the image up on the board.
My elementary teacher used to do those.
Oh, good. Okay, good. You guys, that makes my heart happy. That makes me feel less old than I need to.
What are they called again?
Transparency sheets. Yeah, so if something is transparent, it is see-through, right? Or clear. Now, the way that they're using this word in this case, though, doesn't mean that video game developer companies are literally see-through. It also means that you can be honest and open with the public, okay? So one of the things that Joe Biden ran on, one of the platforms that he ran on when he ran for president, was that he was going to bring transparency and honesty back to the White House. And what he means by that is he's going to not be secretive. It means that he's going to be open and honest with the public. So if we're using the word transparency, yes, on one level it does mean clear and see-through. On a deeper level, though, it means honest and open with the public, okay? What about this word that we added here, collaboration? What does collaboration mean?
Like you do something with someone, collab.
So Isaac, you're a hip hop fan. What is a collab? What does it mean when two artists collab?
They do a song together.
They do a song together. Very good, right? Yes, Krishma puts working together. Karen put working together. Exactly. Collaboration simply means working together, right? It means working together as a group or maybe a duo, right? Very good. All right. Well, those of you, let's move on to the word influence then. Influence. Well, those of you guys are growing up in the age of social media. You have heard this term influencer, right? Social media influencer. What does it mean to influence people?
It means you have a impact on them, like you either have good impact or bad impact. It depends.
To have an impact or on someone or something. And as Alexis is reminding us, it can be positive or negative, right? Oh, wait a second. Almost like this debate that we had at the beginning of class. Do video games influence your mental health in positive ways or in negative ways? Interesting. So now we're starting to see how the vocabulary might function within the actual context of the article. Very good. Okay. What does it mean if something is significant? If I said that your behavior in 6th grade will have a significant impact on the rest of your time in junior high, what does the word significant mean? Let's check the chat log.
Like
Yeah.
you're following around everywhere.
It's yeah, Karen's got it. Karen says that it means important. Yes, and significant means important, or we can say large, right? If something has a significant impact, it has a large impact or an important role in something. And lingering. You guys have experienced what lingering happens. Maybe when your dog toots in the living room and the smell doesn't want to leave the room. What does it mean to linger? Now I'm seeing smiles. What does it mean to linger?
Like you stay.
Yeah, exactly. How do you do the ABC thing again, Karen? Basically what you do is so when you get to 5, you'll hit enter and tab and it will jump over, okay? Okay. Lingering, yes, exactly, Alexis. It means to stick around, to stay behind, or to just hang out, right? Exactly. Just like when the dog toots in the living room and you're sitting there trying to enjoy a movie with your family and everybody's doing that thing like, oh my God, it won't go away. It's lingering. That's what that word lingering means, exactly. Okay, so go ahead. I'll leave this up for you right now. Go ahead and get these added to your annotations pages. Okay, and we have about 8 minutes left. And so what that means is that once you get your vocab done, you are ready to venture through the text. And you are going to venture through the text on your own. You're going to read the text on your own. Okay? Since there is not a whole lot of time left in class, your asynchronous work for this period or for this assignment is to read the text, and then you will complete the exit ticket or the question sets, right? The 5 questions that I've given you. That is how you will prove to me that you understood the text. We spent this portion of the class going through the actual preparation of the close reading strategy that leads up to reading. But now I need to see, it is January 26th. I want to see that you can read a grade level piece of text on your own and comprehend it. And it shouldn't be that difficult considering we now have kind of combed through all the difficult vocab. We've even analyzed each of the questions, okay? Jeremiah wants to know when this is due. So Jeremiah, I will gladly show you that now, and then I will pull up those vocab questions again for those that need extra time. It is due tonight at midnight, okay? Just like usual. Again, I tried in first and second quarter to leave it open until Friday, and the problem was you would put it off until Friday, and then you would forget, and then you would have a bunch of holes in the grade book, okay? So, once again, if you're going to be unable to get this done by tonight at midnight, have mom, dad, uncle, aunt, grandma, somebody contact me so that I can give you extended time. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you just didn't do it. Now, here's how the grade is going to be broken down. It's worth 15 points. First section is the multiple choice. You get 5 points. 1 point for each multiple choice question, okay? Not only that, and actually that should be 4 points because there are only 4 multiple choice questions. So I'll change that to 14 points. And in fact, I'll do that right in just a second. The second thing is your paragraph, the short constructed response question. That is going to be worth 5 points as well. And that is based on how well you are able to demonstrate your understanding of central idea and supporting details. Okay? And then 5, finally, Unravel page is worth 5 points. This is the only way I can ensure that you guys are actually completing your Unravel page. Because as I looked yesterday on the Saharan Desert trade routes activity, many of you guys just blew right by the Unravel page, even though it was sandwiched right in the center of the slideshow. So, 5 points for finishing your annotations page. Okay, so in the spirit of finishing the annotations page, let's take the last 5 minutes to make sure that everybody has what they need, and I'll leave it up on the screen. Can I go up a little bit? Yeah, Julian, where do you need me to go up? To like right there? Cool. All right, I'll leave it right there. You guys tell me what you need from the annotations page so that I can make sure you get those 5 easy points. Let's take a look here. Couldn't see A or B. Sorry. No, you're good. It's all good, Julian. Don't be sorry. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make sure everybody's doing what they need to be doing. Now, are there any questions in the final 5 minutes of class? We're down to the last 5 minutes, and so I want to make sure you guys... where it says to eliminate incorrect answers, do we write down answers there or something? No. So, Valeria, and I'll scroll right back up for you in just a second, Julian. So, for these parts here, 6, 7, and 8, V, E, and L, venture through the text, eliminate incorrect answers, and let the written questions answer themselves. You don't need to do anything for these. Venture through the text literally means read the text, right? So, as long as you read it, you're fine. Eliminate incorrect answers, well, you're going to do that by selecting the correct ones. And you know what I'm going to do? I just realized the instructions I gave you guys said to highlight the correct answers, so I'm going to de-highlight all these. Okay? So when you go through and select the proper answer, what you'll do, so if you decide that the proper answer for number 2 is A, you'll select the answer and then highlight it, right? Okay. Ooh. Let's see here. Thank you, Valeria. And then finally, let the written questions answer themselves, Valeria. Once you answer question 1 and you write down your paragraph, you have already done that. So you don't need to do V, E and L in any formal way on your annotations page, okay? And I can zoom out here. We're down to the last 3 minutes. Are there any other questions about what I expect you to have done today? Let's see here in the chat. We don't have to put an image of our work, right? Nope. That's what you're doing right here. Your Unravel page is one that I set up for you and that we did together. So that will be the equivalent of showing me your work. Now, however, Karen, here's kind of a question for you. When we write Central Idea, do we remember what kind of thinking map we use? Where we put, and I'll just kind of give you a hint. By now you should know this. I'll show you my screen. Hold on. So Karen, remember, we can put Central Idea up top and then our two supporting details in this case on the bottom. What kind of thinking map do we call this?
Flow map?
No, a flow map would be if we were moving in a way that showed first, next, then, and last, right? That would be sequential or step-by-step thinking. In this case, this is what we call a tree map. So, Karen, if you want to use a tree map to organize your thoughts with your main idea and detail 1 and detail 2, then yeah, shoot a picture of that and send it to me at the bottom. But I'm not going to require it. But let's say that I see that you did this and that you kind of made a misstep on one of the questions. I might be inclined to give you a little bit of extra point or a little bit of leeway on your answers if I can at least trace your thinking and kind of figure out how you got to the answer that you got to. Because that's what's going to happen on the CASP test as well, is that even if you get an incorrect answer, if they can go back and look at your scratch paper and see that you were able to at least form a coherent thought based on logic and reasoning, they'll award you some points, even if you were off by a little bit. Okay, and I'll offer you the same opportunity in my class as well. It is 10:44. Are there any other questions before I release you to work on the independent practice, which is, again, reading the article, okay, answering the questions, and writing the paragraph? That is all due to me by midnight. Should not take you more than about an hour. Any other questions?
Can you go to question 2? Because I accidentally
For sure. I can predict or infer that the article will mostly be about helpful properties video games can have on mental health. And then the other prediction that Valeria made that I thought was really good was that she inferred that the text will involve scientists who have found that video games can unexpectedly help mental health. If you have your annotations page done and you are ready to start reading, then you are free to go, and I will see many of you for 7th period for our writing block in our language development class. So if that involves you, goodbye Brando, goodbye Camilla, goodbye Gabriella, you have a nice day as well. Goodbye Camilla number 2. Goodbye Valeria. I don't have any questions, but I suggest you listen to the song Monster. Monster by who, Valeria? There's lots of songs called Monster. Let's see. Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber. I'll check it out. I'll put it on while I go sit down and start working on grades.
I have a song, but it's a weird title.
Okay, well let me see. What is the title?
It's called "Wish I Was a Riot Girl," but it's not spelled G-R-R-L. It's G. Hold on, I have to really see how you spell G-R-R-R-L by Destructus.
Okay, I'll check it out. Bye, Jeremiah. Goodbye, Karen. See you in 7th. Goodbye, Valeria.
So question 2 is a multiple choice question.
Yep, question 2 is a multiple choice. So questions 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all multiple choice.
Okay.
Yep.
See you tomorrow.
All right, Kev. Have a good afternoon, my friend. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.